episode of This versus That. We answer the question, what's the fastest way to board passengers onto an airplane? Plus, witness history in the making as we become the first comedians to make jokes about air travel.
We're going to be the Donner Party of aviation.
And later, propane and natural gas battle it out to determine which is more dangerous, more deadly.
Oh, God!
Whoa! Oh, there it is! Whoa, 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 whoa!
And which makes meat taste better.
You're dying. You're suffocating.
What is This versus That? It's the show that uses science to investigate questions everyone seems to have.
Paper or plastic? Stay in one lane or leave in another?
But no one else can seem to answer.
That ain't not.
And these are your guys. There's Marc DeCarlo.
Dwarves, druids, a murder of crows.
Chris Tallman.
Sleeping
And Brad Sherwood. They're armed with the most reliable information. They'll conduct experiments.
I can't feel my fingertips.
Speak with the experts.
Come on, guys, why aren't I in the shot?
And discover the facts. You might call them scientists.
You are an idiot.
But don't. Mostly, they're comedians.
That's the most important thing about a water landing. Try and do it close to the shore.
And yet, at the end of each episode, your questions will be answered. And the right decision for you to make will ultimately be revealed.
Whoa! I'm not sure what we proved, but we did it.
This versus That.
Last year, over 700 million passengers boarded airplanes out of U.S. airports, resulting in a profit of over $4 billion to the top 10 U.S. air carriers. Anyone have a guess as to what the #1 passenger complaint was?
Too few articles about golf in the in-flight magazine.
No, that was the year before. Passengers' #1 complaint was having to wait, standing around and waiting to board the airplane.
Ugh, I hate standing around with people I don't like.
Oh, just pretending to...
I would say the #1 problem facing the airline industry is just inefficiencies.
Inefficiencies like ticketing, refueling, maintenance, and baggage. This is Captain Ross Amer, a 30-year veteran of United Airlines and currently the CEO of MyAviationExpert.com. And there's one inefficiency he believes that can be most easily corrected.
Airlines could increase their efficiency by finding a proper way to board the aircraft. They can find themselves a lot of time that they could be flying and making money.
According to this study in the Journal of Air Transport Management, they found that airlines in the 1970s loaded passengers an average of 20 passengers a minute. Today, just 9 passengers a minute.
I know, and you know why?
Why?
People are fatter.
No.
People are slower?
No.
Anything to do with global warming?
No.
What about
No.
soccer?
No.
I don't
Soccer?
Yeah, it's boring.
It's carry-on bags. They're too big, they're too bulky, they don't fit underneath the seat, and they do not fit into the overhead compartment. Try it.
See? See that? That adds 10 minutes, according to your article, to the boarding of every single plane.
So why is improving boarding speed so important? I mean, other than the fact it would reduce the number of angry passengers who take a poo on the beverage cart? Remember when that happened in 2000? Yeah, good times.
Every minute a plane stays on the ground at the gate costs the airline $30, approximately.
So if the airlines could shave 10 minutes off the turnaround time it takes to get a plane ready, that'd be a $300 savings.
Right. Now, your big carriers fly 1,500 flights a day. 1,500 times $300 works out to $450,000 a day. You multiply that over a year, it's $165,250,000 of savings.
And that's just one airline. At least 10 different U.S. air carriers schedule 1,500 or more flights a day. And they're almost always through Atlanta. What's up with that? Can you guys even see me? Oh, God. Hello. What is up with the words? Anyways, Captain Amer's results were dramatically different. Oh, no, I quit. No, done, forget it. No.
You're talking perhaps $200 a minute loss for every minute that airplane is sitting on the ground, not producing any revenue for you.
For more on what causes boarding delays, we turn to Brad Sherwood.
The #1 thing that slows passenger boarding is the airline's inability to effectively utilize the plane's interior space. The #2 problem? People with umbrellas. Here's what I mean about effectively utilizing the plane's interior space. Suppose there were 6 of me lined up to get inside this car.
There's regular Brad, pocket pool champion Brad, breaking up with his girlfriend right now Brad, Brad with a crippling sun allergy, Brad the fan of the WNBA's LA Sparks, and Brad doing a totally awesome robot. Now, let's see how long it takes for the 6 Brads to get into the car. Now, some of you may be wondering, where did we get 6 Brads? And what do we do with them after the shoot? Well, our This Versus That scientists worked hard cloning Brad in a secret Siberian lab. The 6 Brads were flown to Los Angeles specifically for this experiment. After the experiment, the 6 Brads were dismembered and their corpses were buried and, oh, time's up. The 6 Brads got into the car in 26 seconds. Next, we tried the same experiment again, only the 6 Brads got into the car more efficiently. Seconds. When the 6 Brads can simultaneously utilize more of the car's access points, they all get inside the car faster. In this case, twice as fast. In science, this is known as the Chinese fire drill principle.
It's this idea, the idea of simultaneous access, that the more efficient airplane boarding methods utilize most effectively. Let me show you how it's done.
Yet another problem that slows passenger boarding is the order in which passengers are boarded onto the plane.
The FAA mandates that we don't seat our regular passengers first. No. First, we have to board the elderly, the sick, people with special needs, first-class passengers, our elite passengers, our double bonus platinum elite passengers, pretty girls, tall people, skinny people, people in show business, dwarves, druids, a murder of crows, everybody but you. And just as you suspected, they all get the seats that aren't broken. And that's the good news. The bad news is science has looked into this, and there's absolutely nothing they can do to speed up the process of boarding a plane.
You are an idiot.
Coming up,
Start.
our experiment gets underway, but not before our 72 passengers are thoroughly entertained by these 2 circus performers we hired to prevent them from leaving. Hey, that guy made a ham sandwich with his feet.
Welcome back to This Versus That. We are just moments away from showing you a first-of-its-kind airplane boarding experiment.
First of its kind because this is the first time the implementation and the results will be seen by the public.
Well, they're not going to see it now.
In February 2008, Dr. Jason Steffon, an astrophysicist at the Fermi Lab in Chicago, released a paper titled Optimal Boarding Method for Airline Passengers. He wasn't so much interested in saving the airline's money. His interest was more personal.
When I was boarding an airplane one day, I realized that it was taking a long time and that there had to be a more efficient way to do it. And that motivated me to identify what is the best way to get passengers onto an airplane.
To recap, here's what science and any new boarding procedure are going to have to overcome. The ever-increasing reliance on carry-on bags, inefficient use of interior space, inappropriate use of umbrellas, and a cockamamie boarding order that rewards the rich and the beautiful. In computer simulations, Dr. Steffen's study passed these requirements with flying colors, and the results made news across the globe. Even so, he didn't feel that his work was done.
It was missing real data. I didn't have any real passengers. I didn't have a real airplane that I could test it out on to see if my model actually describes what really happens on an airplane or not.
That's where This Versus That comes in.
Dr. Steffon, welcome to our incredibly realistic airport.
Dr. Steffon has joined us at Air Hollywood, a soundstage where airplane scenes for movies and TV are shot. And we provided 72 real people to test this theory.
I'm pretty confident that the method that I came up with is going to be the optimum method.
This Versus That will either authenticate the results of his 2008 computer simulations or cast them in doubt.
It's exciting and makes you a little nervous at the same time because you don't want your study to be demonstrated as a complete disaster.
So, like, what is the worst way to board the plane?
Well, the worst way to board a plane would be to start in the front, in the aisle seats, and work your way to the window seats and down.
So therefore, and I don't even have a degree, boarding from the back to the front must be the best. Segment over.
Guess let's do the experiment and find out.
We have actual people, we have an actual plane, and we are going to do an actual experiment.
Let's get ready to conduct an airplane boarding experiment.
Each of these 72 people has been given a packet of tickets that looks just like this. 5 different color tickets. Each one will get them on the plane for a different method of boarding. The professor has designed the experiment to be completely random. So people are going to be going in different order, sitting in different places, because that's the scientific method.
Each passenger has either a roll-on bag, a carry-on bag, both. Some have no bag whatsoever. One lucky guy has a chicken in a basket.
We will conduct 5 variations in boarding and record the amount of time it takes to board the 72 people in each variation.
Meanwhile, if there's anything we can do to make your simulated flight more enjoyable, please pretend to ask.
Start the clock.
All right, here we go. Thanks, everybody. Have a nice flight.
For this first test, each of the 72 passengers tore off their ticket marked Method 1. The ticket gives them both a boarding number and a seat assignment.
Professor Doctor, we are boarding from the back to the front?
Yeah, so in this one, we're going to board from the back in order.
What do you mean by in order?
It's going to start in the very back corner seats and work its way to the front aisle seats. Row by row, window, middle aisle, starting in the very back and feeding its way to the front.
To me, I think this is the quickest method, don't you think,
Yeah,
Chris?
this is like filling a pitcher with water. It's literally just like bottom all the way to the top. All right, let's take a look at the footage. How's it going so far? Looks like
people are finding their seats.
So far, so good.
Here's something to look at is, so there's a lot of people in the airplane,
right,
but they're not doing anything.
And why is that?
Because they're waiting for him to put his luggage away.
We're just a few moments into the experiment, and already we can see the back-to-front method's fatal flaw. As this guy in the back of the plane stows his luggage, all these people who boarded after him and are seated near him are standing around doing nothing, but wishing the guy in front of them was less slow and more dead.
According to our research, it takes passengers 1 second per row to walk the aisle. Then, an additional 6 seconds to stow their luggage and fumble their way into their seat. It also takes 2 more seconds if you're traveling with a baby or a Philly cheesesteak sandwich. And 2 more seconds if you're traveling with both.
I just found these. This experiment ends when the last butt goes into the last seat, yeah?
Right. All right, now she's putting her bag in there, right? So then she should just, see, she puts her bag in there and then she stands around and looks. I know I sound like a jerk, but if you don't know what the A side is, what the D side is, by the time you get to the back of the plane, you're holding people up. But if you know, then you put your and you get in.
Yep. The result of not knowing which side of the plane you're on will be 1, perhaps 2 additional seat interferences and an additional aisle interference. A seat interference is the time it takes to trade places with the idiot in your row who thinks aisle is spelled W-I-N-D-O-W. An aisle interference is where you trade places with someone in the aisle. This encounter can be even longer if one or the other also tries to cop a field.
All right, so the last person actually went through the door at 5 minutes and 10 seconds or so. Shout.
We're so close. Get it in, go, 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 go. You gotta want it. All right.
6 minutes, 11 seconds. Very well done.
All right. 6 minutes, 11 seconds. That's how long it took to load 72 passengers onto a plane from back to front. Now, if you extrapolate that out to 250 passengers, it comes out to about 22, 23 minutes, which very close to 26 minutes, which was what our research said if you try to fully load a 757. It would take just a little bit longer if you're behind this guy.
Coming up, Dr. Steffon's optimal boarding method is unveiled, but not before being vigorously frisked by the TSA. In the meantime, watch as Brad Sherwood takes a passenger's request.
This room is way too hot. It really hurts my brain. It's taking too
Welcome back to This Versus That. We'll have more of our airplane boarding experiment in just a bit. But first...
When it comes to barbecue, every true aficionado knows there's only one way to do it correctly. Giant slabs of meat cooked low and slow over an open flame. Flame that we get from burning wood.
Now, at its peak, wood can burn at 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, pretty close, actually. Now, the great thing about cooking with wood is that you can actually control the heat. You can keep it low, 150 degrees. It's a smolder. It's nice for smoking meat.
Or 1,000 degrees, the flesh of the meat sears, locking in its juices and making it less likely that your steak will turn out all dry and nasty. All right, but not everyone barbecues with wood. Why? Well, first of all, it's expensive. You gotta buy it, then you have to split it, then you have to store it someplace. It takes up a lot of space, and then when you burn it, all the smoke goes up into the sky, and it makes people like Ed Begley Jr. very, very angry.
Oh man, and when he hulks out, it's like,
You don't want that.
Yeah.
No.
So, if you are cooking meat outside on an open flame, you, my friend, have got a decision to make.
Here are the facts. 75% of Americans have a barbecue grill. Of that 75%, 35% use wood or charcoal to make fire.
Everybody else uses gas. Now, of that gas group, 65% use propane, 35% use natural gas.
Right. Now, when you're barbecuing, what is that?
That is me at a natural gas grill. There's a gas line from the house out to the gas
what are you
grill.
wearing?
I have a spatula and tongs because you just want to make sure that you're prepared to do your barbecue. We should get into that.
Please tell me that you use a spoon to serve the potato salad.
Oh, yeah.
And now, for the everyman's take on natural gas, here's Mr. Brad Sherwood.
Natural gas is easy. It comes out of the walls of my house. I don't have to go anywhere to get it. I don't have to buy anything, carry anything, cut anything. I just get a piece of tubing or pipe and hook it up to my barbecue. Or better yet, I hire a guy to come to my house, and presto, I am barbecuing.
But only 50% of American households have natural gas. So, with more on propane, once again, Mr. Brad Sherwood.
Propane is a pain in the ass. You have to go get it in these little half-pony kegs. You don't have it near your house, so you have to drive your car next to the methadone clinic by the river in the adult bookstore to pick this up from a guy, and then you put it in the trunk of your car, and the whole time you're driving home, you're hoping, I hope I don't get rear-ended by someone and turn into a giant ball of flame. And nothing ruins a barbecue worse than an empty propane tank. F*** you, propane. Here.
Wow.
Is that in the script?
It was supposed to be 2 lines. We're not expecting
Just go.
anything. All right. So what we want to know is, what's better to barbecue with? It's propane versus natural gas.
I won't get my deposit back. I don't return the tank.
What was that, you ask? Well, we're going to tell you. We've designed an experiment to figure out which gas burns hotter, propane or natural gas.
Because hotter is better. Just like the Kardashians.
Sure.
To determine the hotter gas, we're going to calculate each flame's adiabatic property. Since temperature is thermodynamically conjugate to entropy, the isothermal process is conjugate to the adiabatic process for reversible transformations. I'm kidding. We're gonna blow up cans of baked beans. Yeah!
Inside the can, not only are beans, but there's also a lot of water in here. And as water gets hotter, what happens?
Turns to steam, Mark.
It sure does, Chris. Steam creates pressure inside this sealed can. At some point, the pressure will be larger than the can's ability to hold it. And then you know what you got. Huge explosion.
Bang.
Beans everywhere.
The money shot.
That's what we call it. So, here's our test. We're gonna see how long it takes the propane to make the beans go boom. Then we'll do the exact same test with the natural gas. Whatever can blows up faster had the hotter heat source.
Absolutely. Science, here we go.
Why do you have a fork?
Well, there's gonna be hot beans at the end of the experiment, so we're gonna num 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 num.
They're gonna be everywhere though, Chris. They're not gonna be in a nice little bowl. They're gonna be on this plexiglass.
Eat it up.
It's gonna be on the razor wire. It's gonna be on this guy over here.
Eat it up twice.
Now it's time to get started, so I thought we would bring in a actual chemist to help us with this next part.
All right.
This is Dr. Alf. Welcome to the show.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, doctor.
Now, you are from UCLA, and you're a chemistry professor?
I teach organic chemistry labs there for about 10 years now.
Professor Bacher has a doctorate in chemistry. and teaches organic and advanced inorganic chemistry and chemical instrumentation. However, he's mostly here to make sure we don't blow up ourselves or this box of abandoned puppies we found. Oh, puppies, so sweet. Plus, he can explain the molecular differences between propane and natural gas.
The methane, which is the main component of natural gas, has one carbon to 4 hydrogen atoms.
So, during combustion of natural gas, 1 molecule of carbon dioxide and 2 water molecules are formed.
The propane has 3 carbon atoms and 8 hydrogen atoms.
Whereas when propane combusts, 3 molecules of carbon dioxide and 4 molecules of water are formed. You see, there's a relationship between how much water and carbon dioxide each gas creates when it burns and how much heat each gas generates when it burns. It's the mystery at the heart of this experiment.
So let's start with the propane. Propane. Tell us about propane.
The advantage of propane is it has a very good heating value. The temperature is pretty high, so you can sear your meat very nicely.
It burns nice and hot.
And high, it's a relatively clean combustion.
Perhaps propane's biggest disadvantage is its weight. At 1.5 times the weight of air, if your propane tank has a leak, the gas will sink and pool on the floor rather than dissipate, making it susceptible to combustion by any careless cigarette-smoking dope.
That's enough science.
Let's blow some crap up.
Yeah, all right.
We want to blow up the bean can. What do you expect we're going to see? Beans and death?
No, I don't think we're going to be in danger. We have protective walls, obviously.
Yeah, look at that.
We're going to wear some hard hats and all the other safety equipment, so I don't think we're going to be in danger.
Is it going to blow up like a beam grenade? Is it going to blow up in the air? What should we expect?
Sometimes they just release the steam somewhere on the seam of the can. Sometimes, if it's really well sealed and manufactured, the bean can might get airborne.
How high? How high can we expect?
Maybe about 100 feet.
Oh, that's good.
100 feet of beans? Let's do it. Let's blow up some
release
beans.
some gas.
Yeah, come on.
Okay.
Coming up, a symphony of percussive legume. And we've got it covered with 5 different camera angles. Plus, the conclusion of our airplane boarding experiment. And here's an outtake from earlier we didn't have time for until now.
Is that the new iPhone?
No, actually, this is a thermal imaging camera. What you do is you point it at whatever you want to get the temperature for. Red, for example, the fire right now, very hot. Meat, blue, cold. Your face, red. Your junk, blue. Blue, blue, blue. It's where Smurfs go to die in an icy tundra. Just abandoned.
Get it.
What's wrong? I was using science.
Welcome back to This versus That. We're ready now to conduct an experiment to determine if propane or natural gas is the hotter fuel source. Up first, propane.
Light the beans, Dr. Barker.
There they go. Oh, jeez, you can see
Start the clock.
This could take a while, so while we wait, a little background. Before we conducted our propane versus natural gas experiment, the professor and our team of safety experts tested the equipment. And right away, there were problems. This hose had a leak. Next, the professor couldn't get the grill to light. So he tried again. And again. And again. And again. And again. Finally, the grill got lit, but not properly.
Turn it off. What the?
Wildfire like this is a result of too much wind coupled with incomplete combustion and either excessive or insufficient fuel flow rate and gas pressure. These wildfires happen 3 times. Okay, actually 4. My bad.
Whoa! What happened? Seems like a lot of fire.
As this clearly demonstrated, you should not do any of this at home. Seriously, it's dangerous. That's why we had safety experts on hand. An EMT trained in fire safety, the dude who built the safety walls, Dr. Bacher, the Brad Sherwood with a horrible sun allergy, and the nation's leading cardiothoracic surgeon.
He's not here in case someone gets hurt. He just likes to watch stuff get blown up.
Now, would this be a kind of experiment that you would do with your students, bean lighting?
No, I would not advise in any way to try this at home, because the outcome can be rather catastrophic.
When you say catastrophic, like what's the worst case scenario?
The worst case scenario would be that the can disintegrate completely and produce a shrapnel.
Ooh, okay.
In which case, we're safe behind this 1/8 inch thick plexiglass,
You
right?
should be relatively safe.
Should be.
Relatively.
If you're thinking it doesn't look like much is happening at this moment, you're right. So our hosts have been instructed to make up confusing analogies that sort of explain what's going on.
So now, just like in a steam engine, there's steam building up, the beans are expanding, everything is
so that
expanding.
depending how well the can is manufactured, either the seam breaks, so it sprays out somewhere, or a part of the thing gets airborne.
It's like those people you see trying to fit into those sexy clothes that are too small for them.
Yes.
But they put them on anyway.
Yes.
We're 4 minutes, 27 seconds into the experiment. And now we can see the top of the can has a bulge. And that means only one thing: botulism. All right, it could also be the pressure building up inside the can.
I would advise to put something in your ears.
Oh. How about fingers?
I can't believe the label has maintained its integrity. It hasn't burned off.
Kudos to the printer.
The anticipation
I know.
is almost unbearable.
The mess will be unbearable. Well, the good news is if something bad happens, they'll... Oh, God!
Whoa! Oh, oh, there it is! Whoa, 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 whoa!
Oh.
Did you see that? Let's go look.
Let's go check the beans.
The can of beans we heated up using propane as a fuel source took 7 minutes, 35 seconds to blow up.
Like a huge firework.
Was that what you expected, more or less?
Yes, more or less.
Wow, what a majestic trajectory.
Certainly nice high flight.
Do they use beans in actual rockets?
Not that I'm aware of, and I wouldn't really advise it because of the mess.
All right, now we're going to focus on the other propellant, which is natural gas. What we're trying to answer here is what has more heating potential, more beam-killing power, propane or natural gas?
But don't tell us until we blow up the second can.
Yeah, let's do that. Come on.
A mystery.
Okay.
Light the can, Professor.
Now remember, if natural gas explodes the can of beans in less than 7 minutes, 35 seconds, it will be proven the hotter fuel. If it takes longer, propane will be our champ. And for you skeptics out there, when we're all done, Dr. Bacher is going to reveal the mystery behind the different ratios of carbon dioxide and water that are created during combustion. And, well, his science is beyond reproach.
Of all the canned items that would be in a grocery store, which do you think would make the most volatile projectile?
I think the best one would be probably one which has a lot of water in it.
Pineapple.
It would produce more steam, like a fruit cocktail or something similar.
Or pineapple?
Or pineapple.
Yeah!
Something like that.
What do you burn in Bunsen burners?
Mainly natural gas.
Did you ever light methane?
No.
Human methane? Because that makes a hell of a blue flame.
In order to maintain the experiment's strict integrity, the cans we used are the same, 55 ounces. The contents are the same, baked beans, original recipe. And most importantly, we've equalized the volume of fuel we'll use to heat each can.
So if you look, you can see on the top a little bit this bulging already.
I just saw the top kind of pop like
Jiffy Pop.
Pressure is just...
Pressure is building?
Go check.
I'll go look?
Yeah.
I would not advise that.
It's starting to lean too, you see that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Uh-oh.
So we are now in the danger zone, Doctor?
Yes, you can see how much it's expanded on the top.
I'm excited.
We're now 5 minutes, 47 seconds into the natural gas test. Here's what the can looked like at the same point during the propane test we did earlier. The cans look pretty similar. Is that indicative of anything? I don't know. It could be. I guess so. Anyway, the tension has become so thick you could cut it with a spork. So, the only thing the host can do to retain any sanity at all is change the subject.
Maybe now's a good time for us all to share how we lost our virginity. Brad?
Strangely enough, I lost mine to a bean can.
Huh.
Impressive. I'm just hoping that when it does happen, it's with someone I love deeply.
If it's going to beat propane's time of 7 minutes and 35 seconds, then natural gas has just 5 seconds left to blow up those beans.
5, 4, 3,
2, 1.
No dice. In fact, it took another 6 minutes and 25 seconds for the natural gas before this finally happened.
One side dish for man.
Whoa! Oh! Wow, that took a lot longer. That was over 7.5 minutes.
You lied to us.
Yeah.
I did tell you it takes longer.
Well, why does it take longer?
Well, the difference is that the propane has a much higher heating value. As a result, it heats the beans up much faster. If you compare it, the natural gas has about 1,000 BTUs. The propane has about 2,500 BTUs.
Propane is like 2.5 times hotter.
That's right. Propane is 2.5 times hotter than natural gas because it has 2.5 times as many BTUs than natural gas does. And to those salespeople or armchair barbecuers who say a special conversion kit for your barbecue will make your natural gas as hot as propane, Dr. Bacher has some news.
Even if you buy natural gas and try to retrofit the burner, it's never going to have the same temperature or heat output like a propane burner, because aside of the gas, you need also have enough oxygen to have a very good combustion, and just increasing the holes. You get more gas out, yes, but the combustion is not as complete.
But what about the big mystery, the water and carbon dioxide? What do they have to do with combustion?
And the more carbon dioxide and the more water you form, the more energy you get out of the combustion process.
So, since the combustion of propane produces 3 molecules of CO2 and 4 of H2O per molecule of gas, that's more than the 1 molecule of CO2 and 2 molecules of water produced during combustion of 1 molecule of natural gas. Ergo, propane burns hotter than natural gas.
Okay. Well, there you go. For bean launching, it's a pretty simple equation then, right?
Yeah, for this versus that, of course we're going to pick this. But wait, we're all supposed to... God damn it! Why can't we ever get this right? We all say it at the same time.
Chris is having a little moment, folks.
We all... How many times have we done
Propane, much more heating
This
for your
versus
heating dollar.
that.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Brad.
Nice meeting you.
Learned
You
a lot.
can do it.
Thank you,
I'm not crazy.
See, Mark?
Coming up, it's the conclusion of our airplane boarding experiment. Welcome back to the conclusion of our test to determine the fastest way to board passengers onto an airplane. The 5 boarding methods in our experiment are being tested inside this authentic replica of a 757 commercial jet. Just like the real thing, the seats, the aisle, and the overhead bins are regulation size. The distance between the rows and the pitch of the seats are also consistent with a 757. And to make our simulation of commercial air travel even more realistic, our pretend pilot is drunk.
All right, so explain, this is the zone method. What is that, Doctor?
Right. So in this case, we're boarding in 3 zones, the back 4 rows, and then we do the front 4 rows, and then we do the middle 4 rows.
For this version of the test, the passengers use their second ticket. Their seating assignments are different from the first test in order to ensure randomness. Well, and a couple of passengers complained that their seatmate from the first test wasn't cuddly enough.
In zone boarding, they divide the plane into quadrants. So first, they board the first class part of the plane in the front. Then zone 2
Is all the way back here in this section of the airplane. But there's a little bit of chaos because they don't board from the windows in the aisle. So it could be the first person in zone 2 is here, clogging it up for the rest of the people trying to get back here. But at least it's bringing them to the back of the plane so that they can board zone 3, which is right up here behind first class. But then the hard part is zone 4, which is back here, in between zone 2 and zone 3. These people are boarding and have to get past first class and zone 3. But it is attempting to maximize the space within the airplane by segmenting it into mutually large groups that are out of each other's way.
Which brings us back to our 6 Brads demonstration. By using all of the car's access points, he was able to get into the car more quickly. Similarly, by using more of the interior space of the plane simultaneously, say by stowing their luggage, we're able to board the plane more quickly. What are you doing?
Just playing a game on my phone. I can't figure out why these birds are so angry. Within a group, the adjacent passengers in line might not be in the same row, and so they can both be putting their luggage away at the same time.
And that is the goal, right? We want as many people as possible putting stuff away at once and sitting down as opposed to waiting.
However, no method yet devised does anything to make passengers less stupid.
Interesting, that guy. He was the cholesterol in the last one, too.
You know, maybe he's the problem.
Don't fly with that guy.
We're 2.5 minutes into the experiment. Here's what it looked like inside the plane at this point in the previous method. Let's take a look at that again. Overall, the zone boarding method appears to be a little bit faster, but we're not done yet.
They are having a book meeting at the back of the plane, apparently.
I'm wondering if there's someone who does not know where they're supposed to be sitting.
Well, there always is.
There we go, it's him, the guy on the cell phone.
Always. Huh, how weird. The guy on the cell phone's in the wrong place.
Yep, there's no method yet devised that makes passengers less stupid.
Here we are, we're almost...
Finger on the button. Get ready. Time.
All right, interesting. Interesting.
With 2 methods of boarding now behind us, and our passengers beginning to tire of seeing the circus guy make ham sandwiches with his feet again, it's time to test the next boarding method.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to begin method number 3. Please board the aircraft.
Start.
All right, now what is this method, Doctor?
So this method, we're boarding from the outside of the airplane towards the middle. The first group of passengers is on the window seats. Second group of passengers is in the middle seats, and the third group is in the aisle seats.
In the airline industry, this method is known as WILMA. It's an acronym for Window, Middle, Aisle, and it's the boarding method used by United Airlines. I might have been too excited by that.
When passengers board using the Wilma method, they start with Group 1 on the window seats. Then Group 2 is the middle seats. Then Group 3 is the aisle seats. What this does is this eliminates having to climb over the guy that's already sitting in the aisle if you have a seat in the window. So we work towards the aisle as we board the plane.
And one of the things we saw with the last method was it took a little bit longer than maybe we might have expected. And I think some of that was towards the end, you saw people shuffling around. Oh, I'm in the aisle, I'm in the window seat, we've got to get out and move and switch around.
So you think we will eliminate some of that with this?
Yeah.
That's because the genius of the Wilma method is that it is cleverly designed to specifically prevent aisle and seat interferences. If the window seat guy is seated first, there's no one for him to climb over. Unless he's one of those dumbasses who sits in the wrong seat.
Now this is interesting. We're almost at 3 minutes, and almost everybody's on the plane, which is the fastest we've seen people physically onto the plane.
By way of comparison, here's what the interior of the plane looked like at the 3-minute mark during the back-to-front method, during the zone boarding method, and now during the Wilma method. And just for fun, here's Brad Sherwood falling down.
Get your finger on the trigger, Doctor. Wait for it! Now, she's got to put her finger... same
Toddler.
moment. Stop it!
Oh!
She added a minute and a half by
4
herself.
minutes, 13 seconds.
That's a
way faster.
Looks like Dr. Steffon has some real competition. With 4:13 the time to beat, it's finally time to put his theory to the test.
All right, so now this is method 4, and this is your method, Jason?
Yep.
What do you call this method?
Well, I call it the optimum method. I don't know if
I think
it's a little cocky, don't you think?
How about Quicksilver?
How about the Flash?
How about Colonel Thunder? Monte Carlo or something like that.
Begin boarding method number 4. I'm going to start the timer as soon as the little boy's foot... Boom. There we go.
All right.
Just to make it more interesting, we're going to hold the timer. We're not going to let you see how fast or how slowly it's progressing.
Yes.
Just to make it more exciting.
Attention, ladies and gentlemen. Here's what Dr. Steffon proposes. Passengers will board the plane in a specific order, starting in the rear of the plane, in window, middle, aisle seat order. However, their seats will be in every other row. So adjacent passengers in the line should be sitting in corresponding seats. To apart from each other. The strength of the optimized boarding strategy is that it spreads the passengers throughout the length of the plane, rather than concentrating them in one section of the cabin. The weakness of the optimum method, impossible to explain to passengers.
When the camera pans back to the middle, you should see that there's people all the way down the aisle, and now everyone should kind of start putting their luggage away all at the same time.
Okay.
So you're maximizing aisle usage at any given point.
We have about a little over half the passengers loaded on the plane right now.
Look at that.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's actual movement in the line that you can visually see, which is pretty nice.
We're counting down.
Okay, sure.
As long as no one gets log jammed in the overheads.
Okay.
2 people left.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Well,
interesting. I guess we'll have to
hold on to that.
Hold on to that, and we'll reveal it to him later.
But I wouldn't quit your day job.
Coming up.
I'm holding the results of all 5 methods.
How quickly does Dr. Steffon's optimum boarding method board airplane passengers? Well, we're about to find out.
Should we do a drum roll?
Welcome back to This Versus That. And we're just moments away from revealing the astonishing results from our airplane boarding experiment.
Everybody ready? Ready, kiddies?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go.
Before we give you the results of Dr. Steffon's method, there's one more boarding method to test. In this variation, the 72 passengers are once again given new seat assignments, and the passengers themselves are randomly choosing a spot in line from which they will board the plane. The question we have is, will boarding randomly actually be faster than one of the scientifically designed methods?
Just off the top of your scientific head, you think this is going to be faster or slower?
I think it will probably be a bit slower than the Windows middle aisle method.
I think it's going to be a goat screw. What do you guys think?
I think it's going to be a hork tucker. What do you think?
I'm not a carpenter.
Done.
Time.
444.6.
444.6.
All right, in my hands, I am holding the results of all 5 methods today.
How'd I do?
Well,
we're going to draw it out.
Yeah.
Create some tension.
We're going to make it exciting. You know, you're the science guy, we're the show guys. We're going to make you twist a little bit.
Hopefully give you a stroke.
Yeah, that's the goal, to see you drop like a bag of potatoes. So as you know, we've boarded the plane 5 different ways. The first time we tried it, we went back to front. Filled the back of the plane, came up to the front. That took 6 minutes and 11 seconds.
Now the next one we did boarding in blocks, which was sort of like group 1, group 2, group 3. That one took 6 minutes, 54 seconds.
Wilma, which is window middle aisle, a way to board the plane. Just
technical airline jargon.
That's what we do. We sent the people in. Big improvement, 4 minutes, 13 seconds. Well, and that's 30% faster than the fastest time up to that point. Which is that part of your theory?
What I was suggesting is that you want to use as much of the aisle as possible.
Right.
And that spreading everyone on the windows out all at once allows more than one person at a time to put their luggage away.
Now, the next one we did, and this was interesting, this was the random one. People had assigned seats, but in the line, they entered in whatever order they found themselves in the line. That one came in at 4 minutes, 44 seconds, which at this point is the second best time.
So what we're going to find out right now is if, in fact, your method could be responsible for the airline saving $165 million a year.
So the time to beat is 4 minutes, 13 seconds with Wilma. Your optimal method came in. Ready? Should we do a drum roll? 3 minutes and 40 seconds.
That would be better.
That's much better.
Let's take another look at the thing of beauty that is Dr. Steffon's winning method. As with all boarding procedures, passengers with children boarded first. This caused an early but predictable hangout. But once they're out of the way, a free flow of foot traffic resumes. And 3 window seat passengers take their seats simultaneously. You won't see choreography that beautiful outside of the Bullsh. Almost immediately thereafter, it's the pop, pop, pop of 3 overhead bins being opened at once. Dr. Steffon's method making full use of the aisle. And another look from the back, where again, 3 people simultaneously take their seats, freeing up tons of precious aisle space. Things are cruising right along when, A passenger is in the wrong seat. Science may not be able to cure stupidity, but it can at least speed it up. This seat interference would have cost lots of precious boarding time and other methods, but here we can see the passengers near the front still taking their seats, and the line keeps moving. As a new crop of passengers fill the plane, behold, another simultaneous group of 3 seatings. Finally, we see, even at the end of boarding, passengers are stowing their bags all at once, all over the plane. It's an effort coordinated by science that cuts almost half the time from traditional boarding methods.
You kind of killed it. Look at that. Congratulations.
Way to go, Doctor. See, all those years in school do pay off.
Yeah. How do you feel?
That feels pretty good.
So in today's case of this versus that, with Jason's method, we want to pick
That. No, that. That's the one that won.
But it's this. His is the prime one.
No,
that we're
this is
testing, so that
6:11. This was 3 minutes.
Man.
That's the winner.
Car ride home.